Welcome, everybody, to this edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And on this edition, the Rapids overwhelm the ATL. Now they're going to look to do the season sweep against the LA Galaxy this Saturday. And then we have, for Off the Pitch, Zack Steffen joining us. That and much more on the Colorado Rapids podcast. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Colorado Rapids podcast and this week's edition of The Rundown, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Drew B, how we doing on this fine Monday morning? How we doing?
I'm doing great. It is a fine Monday morning. The sun is shining as it typically does this time of year here. And I'm really excited. I do feel like, and we might have kind of talked about this on the last episode, but this is the time of year where it gets a little bit cooler at night, you know, especially like as the sun starts to go down, like right around game time. And it felt like that this last weekend before the Atlanta game. And it just, that to me, it just kind of feels like and smells like the playoffs are here, you know. And I know the actual playoffs are not here, but just in terms of the atmosphere and the meaning of every match, I know these games are just as important as the games in February, March, April, but they just feel and sound and look a little bit more important, you know?
It is different, man. I know exactly what you're saying. Obviously, I can't speak from a player perspective, but from the times that I've been involved in playoffs, whether it was my time in DC or obviously here with the Rapids, there is something a little different in the air.
Yeah.
It's not just the weather we're talking about or any of that, right? There is something very different in the air when you're talking about these last 7-8 games of the regular season to see where you're going to sit in the playoffs, if you even make the playoffs, right? Like, everybody has something to fight for. We're going to get into a little bit more of that conversation as we go into the episode here for the podcast, but I know exactly what you mean, man. It's a really good feeling.
Yeah.
Especially as the Rapids now, they're on the hunt for a playoff spot right now.
They are. And also, kids are back in school. So parents are rejoicing everywhere. It's been a wonderful summer, but school has begun.
So that was the loud celebratory yell I heard this morning all around Denver.
Or sigh of relief, or a deep breath, whatever it was. Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to the kids. Yeah, they're back in school now as of today.
Go learn.
Go stay in school, kids. So that's, if there's anything
learn from me.
Well, no, there's plenty to learn from you,
best,
Drew. No, there's plenty to learn from you, Drew. You're a good dude. You're a good dad.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It doesn't get better than that. Speaking of other good dudes, and I think more than like a legend, Drew. Like this, you know, sometimes people like very affectionately kind of like to toss around the word legend to folks that they know or people that are worth admiring and recognizing for what they've done. When I talk about a legend, like I'm talking about Marcelo Balboa in this instance, Drew. So we here at the Colorado Rapids had the opportunity to honor Marcelo with retiring his number 17, the iconic number 17 here at the Colorado Rapids post-game after the match between the Rapids and Atlanta United. I unfortunately was not able to be a part of the ceremony there, just with post-game responsibilities. But from what I've been able to eventually see, observe, and speaking with other people who were there, and the fans who got to witness, share the moment with Marcelo as the club retired his iconic number 17, it was a bit overwhelming for him emotionally. And you could tell and you could very much see with Cello what it meant to him, right? So when I actually went to watch back the Rapids and Atlanta game, specifically the Spanish broadcast, because he was on there with his co-coms, Jorge Perez Navarro. And it was a really interesting anecdote that he had in there in terms of how he felt this kind of brought closure to his career. Well, how does that do that when it's like, you know, an odd number amount of years now after he technically retired in the early 2000s, right? And what he had mentioned was that injuries had done him in. He couldn't really retire on his own terms. Injuries had kind of forced him to end his career. So with this jersey retirement, he said it feels like this feels like the proper closure that I could kind of bring to my career. So it's kind of an emotional, very meaningful moment for me, you know, Cello speaking in this instance. So that said a lot, I think, in terms of how he felt and how he received the evening and the club going out of their way to do something, which I think was very much deserved, because we are talking about not just the Colorado Rapids legend, that goes without saying, I would say. We're talking about an American soccer legend, Drew. So how and why is he an American soccer legend? He's a part of that generation, Drew, in the 90s, 1990, and I would say specifically 1994, specifically the World Cup here when it was last year. He was a part of that generation of players where if it could make or break in terms of what soccer was going to be in this country. That sounds a little kind of overstating it or like hyperbole, but no, that it wasn't. What he and that generation of players did, Drew, that I'd imagine you saw,
of course,
in that time, so you could appreciate it better than I could, because I was just but a baby at that point. But he and that generation of players on the U.S. men's national team basically set the standard for what soccer could be and would eventually be in this country. He and many of those players joining MLS and setting the standard for what MLS could be. In its early years, MLS, you didn't know what it was going to be year to year, if it was even going to be around year to year. This is what we're talking about when we talk about a Rapids and American soccer legend in terms of what he's done for the sport in this country, Drew. I don't think it's overstating in terms of saying that he is a legend. Yeah. It's just plain and simple.
Absolutely. I think whether you are, work for a club or a fan of a club, we all owe a deep, debt of gratitude to Marcelo Balboa and that generation. And being 10 years old in 1994, watching the U.S. men's national team advance from their group, a very difficult group in the World Cup, into the round of 16 when we hosted the World Cup, and then to watch the inception of Major League Soccer in 1996, and he being the face of the Colorado Rapids. It had a profound influence on me, and one of the main reasons why I was able to have the career why this club exists, why fans are able to come and support this club. It's, Marcelo Balboa was massive for this club, and it was a wonderful night to be able to celebrate him. I thought it was so cool that he was on the call for it as well. But when you think of the green uniforms, the OG days of the Colorado Rapids, you think of Marcelo Balboa and his hair and his bicycle kicks. And then you continue to think of Marcelo Balboa because he continues to be an ambassador of this club, a coach in the academy, and just do wonderful things here. And it was a perfect night for celebrating the legend that is the living legend that is Marcelo Balboa, and he continues to leave his mark here.
He's a legend, Drew. I don't think there's any other way of putting it. Like, again, not just a Rapids legend, but an American soccer legend. While I wasn't able to kind of partake in the post-game ceremony, we did hold a private ceremony for Cello and for his family, kind of something a little bit more intimate on the southwest corner of the stadium, outside of the confines of the stadium itself, where it was revealed that we have a monument there for Cello, so that in a physical manner that we have something dedicated to Cello to forever recognize his contributions, his efforts, everything that he's done for the Colorado Rapids, to forever memorialize a Colorado Rapids legend. There was like the beginning of like what I saw of some of the emotion that he showed, and he was overwhelmed. Like he really was overwhelmed with it. And you were there, Drew, of course, and you partaking in that ceremony. So if anybody gets the chance, if you just happen to be walking by Dick's Sporting Goods Park on a game day, or if you're going for a run or whatever, like by the southwest corner of the stadium, Legends Corner.
It's awesome.
Legends Corner, where you can see the monument to recognize a legend here at the Colorado Rapids. That is Marcelo Balboa. So congratulations, Marcelo. It's more than deserves for a legend, man. Seriously, I keep saying it over and over again, but that's what he is. He's nothing short of a legend with what he's done for the game here, for this club, but for this country. So you can't overstate his contributions to the game. So before we actually get into the game itself between the Colorado Rapids and Atlanta United, Drew, just very quick shout out, because this was very nice actually. So I was getting ready to film for the night. I'm working as a video producer, and there was somebody just kind of calling my name. I was like, who is that? And I have no idea. And then I turn up, and it's just a young man by the name of Palmer. 12-year-old player. He just very quickly wanted to mention that he really enjoyed the podcast. He enjoys watching the podcast, and he enjoys seeing myself and, of course, with you, Drew, on there.
I love that.
And it's a little thing, but I think something that goes a long way in terms of being able to hear and see people who watch and listen to the podcast, because it feels like we're doing something right by the fans to be able to kind of keep you guys informed, hopefully have fun along the way as well. It's something that we love doing every Monday morning. Typically every Monday morning, schedules always change, but typically every Monday morning when we do this. And so when we hear from you fans anywhere, right, whether it's in the stadium on a game day or anywhere, social media, whatever the case may be, it's always nice to hear that we are doing something that kind of helps you guys improve your day a little bit more every Monday evening or whenever you do listen to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Palmer. That's awesome. That's better than the guys down in the locker room bantering me for some of the things I say on here. But Palmer, that's awesome. We appreciate it. That's exactly what we want to hear.
Yeah, so shout out, Palmer, to you and your team. They had a game earlier that day, actually. Okay. They won 2-0, which is great. That was good, but I can't imagine how tired he was going into the Colorado Rapids Atlanta match after playing a game early in the day, especially in that heat. Speaking of which, Drew, shall we get into it?
Let's do it. It was fun.
Let's get into it, Drew. So on the Saturday night that we had Colorado Rapids hosting Atlanta United, first time that they were hosting them here since 2022. The Ochi kids are so nice, Drew. I think we should just I think we should keep those kids on for the rest of the season. But going into the game itself, the Rapids opened the scoring with Darren Yappy, Drew.
Phenomenal goal, and we were on the front foot from the start of this match, and we just miss it in this replay, but Darren Yappy starts this play by coming back into it defensively, winning the ball at the top of the box when it looked like Atlanta United was going to go the other way in possession. What a ball from Cole Bassett. The header from Rafa Navajo right in the path of Darren Yappy, and that's the sign of a confident number 9, a confident striker putting the ball in the back of the net. It was a fantastic start for the Rapids.
Yappy's certainly on one this 2025 season, but Drew, Atlanta was going to respond. It did not take them long with Alexi Miranchuk here in the 20th minute.
Just too passive. After scoring and getting all the momentum, Atlanta went from one side of the field to the other, and you highlighted this man before the match, Mike, that, Miranchuk, you give him time and space with that left foot, he can deliver, and he does here right after we had taken the lead.
Taking it into the second half, Drew, 62nd minute, Rafa taking on his defender and gets a fouled in the box, earns a PK for the Rapids.
It's good positive play. He forces the coincidence, right? Confidence to take somebody on Berrocal 1v1 in the box, and then he dispatches the penalty, and Brad Gazan kills a couple of hands there. Probably thought he should have saved it, but it doesn't matter for Rafa. A number 9, you want to see him put the ball in the back of the net. It doesn't matter how. He does it there, and not long later, again, Calvin Harris forcing a little bit of a coincidence. The Atlanta players kind of freeze, wondering if it's going to be called or not. Nobody commits to it. Rafa Navajo jumps on it, and enough power and pace on this one to get it by Brad Gazan, who would probably want this back. But it's just good, positive, front-footed play from the Rapids, high energy. A great way to start the second half after, the end of the first half wasn't great, but got after it in the second half, and 6 or 7 minutes here of just making things happen, and really ultimately easily dispatched of Atlanta United on the night.
Yeah, they did, and with doing so with the 3-1 win on the night against Atlanta United. Looking at the match stats real quick here, Drew. So for the Rapids, they had 8 shots on the night versus 13 for Atlanta United. 3 on goal for the Rapids, 3 on goal for Atlanta United. 3 corners for the Rapids, 4 for Atlanta United. And for possession, the Rapids had 44.3% versus 55.7% for Atlanta United. So, Drewby, your overall thoughts, your general thoughts from that match between the Rapids and Atlanta United?
It's a great win. And this is the time of year where, I'll even go back to the previous match, the Minnesota game, where you have to manage the ebbs and flows of every game. And this Atlanta match, we weren't great after we scored the first goal for the rest of the first half, and we allowed Atlanta straight back into the match with the Miranchuk goal. And then we looked a little sluggish to finish the first half, and we defended well. We had to defend a little bit deep, but we gave the ball away a little bit too easily. We weren't able to get out on the counter like we would have liked to have seen, but we managed it. We got into halftime 1-1, and we came out in the second half and took care of business. And Minnesota was kind of the same. The first half, I think it was hot and humid there, but we managed it, and we came out in the second half and took care of business. And I think you're getting to the time of year now where the emotions are a little bit higher. We talked about it at the start of the show. The playoffs are right around the corner. Everybody's playing for something, whether it's getting into the playoffs, playoff seeding, home field advantage, going for the Supporters Shield, going for contracts if you're eliminated from the playoffs. Atlanta, all those players were playing for something. And I thought the Rapids managed the game extremely well. I thought they were, once again, dynamite in attacking transition, very efficient, and they defended a little bit deeper, which I still am fine with, and I like to see it because they were organized, they were disciplined, maybe other than on Atlanta's goal. But general thoughts was, this is the time of year you have to do what you have to do to win games, and the Rapids did that.
Yeah, fully agree with that, Drew. Particularly for me, the thing of note was something that we had been doing as the Rapids these past couple games, stretching back to Minnesota. I'm forgetting the other game that we had just recently along the way. But just these past couple performances that the Rapids have had defensively in terms of their defensive posture and how kind of honestly just stubborn that they are, really. As you mentioned with this game in particular against Atlanta, that just the Alexi Miranchuk goal is maybe the one moment in the game that I can think of that it's like, oh, okay, we kind of slipped a little bit there. But the Rapids, they've shown that they can be really stubborn defensively. And that's dangerous because of knowing how lightning quick they can be on the counter. You look at the way both goals developed, or the counter attack goal developed for against Minnesota United for one of Yappy's goals, right? And just in general, any counterattacking goals that the Rapids have had this season. But I think it's really highlighted a bit more very recently with these performances they put together now, and it's been impressive, Drew. Like the defensive performance, but also the effectiveness going the other way in terms of finding their opportunities and taking advantage of them when they do.
We looked like every time we got out in transition, we were going to score or we were going to create something. When Atlanta were able to get numbers behind the ball and defend deep, we struggled a little bit. And any team's going to, right? Because you got numbers, you got congestion, and credit to Atlanta when they were able to do that. But the last 2 weeks when the Rapids have gotten out in transition, they've looked so dangerous as they have all season in transition. And the numbers here show for it, don't they, Mike?
They absolutely do. So in terms of, we were just speaking to the attack, I want to get into that specifically with the two strikers they're on one right now, Drew. They are absolutely on one. So let's start with Hoffa. 11 goals and 4 assists on the 2025 MLS season so far. Nice stat here, very interesting stat, kind of provides context as to kind of what Hoffa is doing right now here at the club. So he's the 4th player in club history to produce at least 10 goals in back-to-back seasons. And that's it's the first time that it's been done since a former teammate of yours, Deshaun Brown, did it in 2013 and 2014, where he was up for Rookie of the Year in 2013, if memory serves. So that provides a little context as to what Hoffa is doing here. He's been nothing but, I would say, phenomenal since he's arrived at the Rapids. Not just we've talked about this multiple times. It's not just the goal scoring, even though that's what he's brought in to do. It's everything else he does, Drew, off the ball, his runs, defensively as well. He's the first man to press and kind of sets the tone for the rest of the group as well. Like Hoffa is incredibly invaluable, I would say, to this Rapids side. And then his strike partner, Darren Yappy, man, like 7 goals and 2 assists. And if you want to compare it to Atlanta's attacking force, where they spent a boatload of money with Emmanuel Latelaf, he has 7 goals and 1 assist on the season. So
unbelievable.
A homegrown showing his worth versus someone who is earning pretty penny, I would say, out of Atlanta, and they had to spend quite a bit of money to bring him in from overseas, whereas a homegrown from the academy is doing his bit and doing just as much, if not better, than a DP for an Atlanta side like that. And keep in mind, Drew, Darren Yappy's only 20 years old, man. Like I mentioned it, I think it was the last part of the pod before, where like Darren Yappy, I think, has found himself in this space where he's probably one of the scariest attacking players in the league as well. So between him and Hoffa, that strike partnership, man, I would say it's almost as good as it gets in this league because of just how they understand each other, how they play off each other, the chemistry they have between themselves. And that's without including everybody else that you include on the pitch and understanding the danger those two present, right? What have you made of just those two on the season so far as we're entering the home stretch at this point now?
They're so much fun to watch together. They're fun to watch individually, obviously, but when they're on the field together, it's a nightmare for center backs, because they can both do number 9 duties. They can both do number 10 duties, right? And they both work so hard on both sides of the ball. They run forever. It's almost like they have 2 sets of legs that they change out at halftime, and they've got an engine that just, it's a nightmare for center backs. And when one drops in a little bit deeper and plays kind of as a number 10, does one of the center backs go and the other one stays? Do they try to get a midfielder to lock in on him? Yappy is obviously the one that kind of drifts a little bit more, and he's just like this just kind of feels like the coming out party for Darren Yappy. He's got 3 goals in his last 2 games, but he's just done so much all season when he's on the field to positively influence the games. He's getting so good in tight spaces. He's grown into his body a bit. He's strong. He can hold the ball up. He's good in the air. And just the energy that those two bring, the physicality that they bring, both sides of the ball, man, like, thank goodness I retired and don't have to deal with these two, because I would hate it. And it's you can tell Darren Yappy's been watching Huff and Navajo, which that's exactly what you want your young player to do. And it's exactly what you want your DP number 9, who you brought in to be not just a fantastic player, but a fantastic human and example. Darren Yappy is feeding off of that. And man, like, what a great time to have those two hitting their strides this time of year. It's a scary thing
but that's why I say, man, I think it's one of the best strike partnerships that you find in this league, right? Other teams maybe don't, they'll do one forward, whatever, but like I'm with you, Drew. Like I can't imagine what it's being like a center back, and you have to constantly communicate, hopefully physically fit enough to deal with the threat that those two pose, and like there's just so many factors, I think, that, as you mentioned, that come into play as a center back or as defenders in general to try to keep track of those two guys, assuming that you can stop them. Because maybe you stop one, but the other's going to go free and find his opportunities as well. But that's the problem. So, like, that's why I say that this is probably one of the best strike partnerships in the league, one of the scariest ones in the league. That, I'm glad I'm not playing against them. I'm with you, Drew, because they're incredible right now, and especially in a very critical period of the season as the Rapids are trying to find a playoff spot for 2025. And just a couple other things of note, or one more thing of note at least that I had here for us coming from the Rapids Atlanta match is Sidney Wathuda. He made his MLS debut with the Rapids. He, of course, made his first team debut in Los Angeles in the last Leagues Cup match that the Rapids had against Cruz Azul in Dignity Health Sports Park. But this was his MLS debut with the first team, which stretching back to preseason, Drew, when he first came in, and you were there. You got the opportunity to see him up close and personal as well, and when we were in Mexico. You could see that there's definitely something there. And maybe I think hopefully fans have noticed in the little bit that he's played between that Leagues Cup match against Cruz Azul and then coming on at least for a little bit here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park against Atlanta United. There's something there.
Yeah.
There's certainly something there. He's been doing really well with Rapids too, which again is just such an important platform for these players to, if they're not just ready for the first team, they're getting minutes and reps at the second team level under Eric Boucher. But stretching back to preseason, there was a few moments, particularly a scrimmage against Querétaro, and I was like, man, there is definitely something there with Sidney. So unfortunately, that was the fourth call-up that he had from the second team, which is his last one that he's eligible for the season. But I would say that's maybe not the last that you've seen of Sidney Wathuda here at the Rapids. That much I can probably assure you.
Hopefully not, because he's a wonderful person, a wonderful character, great in the locker room, and he fits this system extremely well. He's long, he's fast, he's quick, and he's positive, man. And you saw as soon as he comes on the field, he almost gets on the end of a cross in the box, and then he gets the ball at his feet a couple of minutes later and goes to take on a defender 1v1. He left the ball behind him on accident, but you love the positivity, being on the front foot. We love when he plays for R2 because he's instrumental for that side. He stands out for sure. We miss him when he's not with R2, but it means he's with the first team, and he is somebody that has a very bright future. He just fits in so well here, both on and off the field. Love the kid. And he's so coachable. He listens to everything you say, and he'll go out and try to do exactly what you ask him to do. Although I don't want to tell him to do too much. He's moving in the right direction anyway. But bright future for Sidney.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so like I said, hopefully not the last that we've seen of him at the first team level. Of course, we still have him here at the club in general, playing with R2. That you're there, of course, helping on game days with the R2 staff, Eric Boucher, Brendan Bumps, like everybody that's there, and get to help develop some of the talent that we have up and coming through this club, which. We're in good hands with this guy. I'll tell you what. So anything else from that match, Drew, that we want to take away from other than it was a good 3 points, 2 wins in a row, and we got to honor a legend.
What a night, man.
It was a wonderful night, man.
The green nets, the green corner flags, it was
man.
Just so much fun. The weather was amazing. It was awesome.
It was one of those nights. Just everything
ended with fireworks.
Together.
What more could you want? That would make me want to come back to every single match. I'm going to. Well, and I know you will too.
Well, you kind of have to, Drew. but but at least we enjoy what we do. We enjoy that with the fact that even though we have to, but no, it's
nights like that just remind you.
It's so fun,
why
man.
We love it so much.
I got a genuine thrill out of Saturday night of just how everything just kind of came together for the Rapids, and again honoring a Rapids legend and an American soccer legend, and Marcelo Balboa. Moving on to a couple things here in terms of the transfer window open, activity.
It's still open.
It's been open.
There's a breeze coming through.
Yeah, well, not exactly. God, man, dude, you and your dad jokes, man. You can't. It's like I resent them, but also appreciate them.
That's why you open windows this time of year.
Anyway,
Rich loves it.
Anyway, so in terms of transfer window activity for the Rapids, so let's start with. Well, actually, no. This is what we have right now, as of now, in terms of what the Rapids have been doing is inbound activity, right? So. Let's start off with Rafael Santos, acquired from Orlando City in the Eastern Conference. 27-year-old Brazilian left back who up to this point, 75 games, 52 starts in MLS. So not a stranger to MLS and what the demands are of this league. So you get an MLS veteran, which is incredibly helpful, creates a lot of value in this league, Drew, as we've seen multiple times, regardless of what team you are. And then a fellow Brazilian speaker for Rafa Navarro, who I know he's going to appreciate that very much, just to have somebody to be able to communicate with very effectively in Portuguese. So what are your thoughts on Rafael Santos coming here to the Colorado Rapids, Drew?
I think it's a great signing. He's come in right away, and he's one of those positive guys. And he gets on the ball. He's got a nice left foot, and he wants to attack. He wants to play forward passes. He wants to combine. He's got good size for an outside back as well. And I think he is somebody. When I look at him, he can play left back. He can play left wing back. Can he play the left side of a three center backs? I think maybe he could. Obviously he's got to get up to speed with how we play and the altitude. He's only been here for 3 or 4 training sessions, but I've absolutely loved what I've seen. He's got a smile on his face. He's spending time with the OG Rafa here, which is fantastic for both of them, because that familiarity is wonderful. But I really like what I've seen from him, and we know him well. Like he's been in the league, he knows the league well. He understands the demands that it can bring. So I'm really excited for Rafa Santos.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of how exciting this signing is. Someone I emphasize that MLS veteran bit, because we've seen multiple times before, man, like where you can spend as much money as you want, or do put in all the effort that you want to bring in somebody from overseas. That's not to say that they don't have the quality, but coming to MLS and trying to adjust to it's a hell of an adjustment.
It is, especially in this transfer window. When there's 7. We're coming up to the really important games. Like every team has hit their stride, and so to have MLS experience coming in is awesome.
It's huge. So I'm with you. Very excited about Rafa Santos. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we differentiate between, outside of just mentioning their full names, because I'm not doing that every time. So between Rafa Navarro and Rafa Santos, but excited to have Rafa Santos coming over from Orlando City here to the Colorado Rapids and help us for this home stretch that we have here for the 2025 regular season. Another transfer that we had, another player that we had come in, Drew, was Lucas Harrington. We announced him back on Thursday, so just before the weekend. 18-year-old center back. He'll be joining in January from the Brisbane Roar in Australia. He's made appearances for the Australian U20s as well, so not a stranger to the international competition, at least at the U20 level, which I think is very, very important. So this is a move for the future, Drew, considering how young he is, coming over from Australia. Definitely for down the road. What have you made of that transfer news?
Well, he's been here a couple of times as Lucas, and he's a unit. He's got a lot of size, and you can tell some athleticism, and young player, hungry player. Is getting some big first team experience with his side in Australia. Obviously, some youth national team experience. A lot of that. The soccer people in that world are talking about Lucas Harrington, and so I think it's we won't see him until on the field really until January with us. But super excited for that. Center backs, athletic center backs, young center backs are so valuable in Major League Soccer, and it's why we brought Noah Cobb over from Atlanta on loan, and I'm really excited to see Lucas Harrington when he gets here. He seems like a really good kid. Like I said, he's been around a little bit, and you can't go wrong. I feel like with this because of his age, his size. You can tell there's a bit of hunger there, and really excited to see what he can bring.
Yeah, I think everybody is. Yeah, between Rafa Santos in the immediate future and then Lucas Harrington in the long term, particularly with him coming in January, as I mentioned. Just waiting a little bit there for him to come in. But as you mentioned, Drew, the transfer window, it's been open, but it does close on Thursday.
Yeah.
Having said that, I would say expect the Rapids to be active in the transfer window, especially as we're entering literally these last few days that we have in the transfer window being open. Expect the Rapids to continue to be active. So we shall see where we go from there.
Yeah.
All right, and we are going off the pitch, joined by Rapids goalkeeper Zack Steffen. Zack, how are you doing, man? Good morning. So good to see you here on the podcast with us.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, Zack, especially so after the 3 points that the team was able to get on Saturday night to honor Marcelo Balboa and kind of earn 3 points on the night against Atlanta United. That's 2 wins now in a row for this Colorado Rapids side. Zack, what's this run of form kind of attributed to? Like, how have you seen this Rapids side coming together and be able to put the performances and the results together?
I mean, I think there's a few things, but I think I think the biggest thing is knowing that we're in a playoff hunt. And we have 8 games left, maybe 7 now, but points matter, and we got to get as many points as we can. So I think just kind of flipping that mentality, and just knowing that the season's coming down to an end, and we got to grind.
Let's talk about, Zach, more specifically. There's been a little bit of some tweaks to the formation and personnel a little bit the last 2 games, which have obviously yielded 2 very positive results. What have you seen just from your perspective from the change of formation a little bit, and does it change, your approach as a goalkeeper?
Yeah, I think the back 5 or back 3, I think it gives us a little bit more stability on defense and a little bit more cover on defense. Which is obviously nice for me, and I think in the last couple of games, the other teams have had some chances, but nothing like what we've seen with our back 4. So that it's nice that it gives us some more stability, and as long as we get our fullbacks high in the midfield, then we can try and keep the ball, because obviously with the back 5 we leave somebody in the midfield. But I think it gives us more stability, and the guys are enjoying it.
Well, yeah, and in terms of the back line and the guys, as you say, there's been a couple new additions. Noah Cobb being one who's played the last couple games. What have you seen from him? And I know Rob's not training with us quite yet, but he's been around. Have you been able to interact with him? Just what are your thoughts of those 2 guys, the 2 new additions on the back line so far?
Yeah, so far, I mean, amazing additions in the locker room, and then obviously Rob hasn't trained yet, so really excited to get him going and see what he's like on the pitch, but off the pitch, Rob's class, man. Such a good dude, and just wants to be a part of the boys and support and everything. He's been very vocal already, which has been amazing. Noah, the same, has come in, has played very well. First training, I could hear him on the pitch right in front of me, which was amazing. Just communicate and kind of lead the boys in the back line, and confident on the ball, wants to play. So I've been really happy and pleased with Noah, and he's played really well. So those 2 additions have been great, and exactly what we needed.
Zach, you're clearly obviously happy with some of these additions of some of the field players, but let's talk about the goalkeeper union, of which that you're kind of the leader of. You're kind of at the head of this strong goalkeeper union that we find here at the Colorado Rapids. What's it like for you to kind of take on that leadership role? Is that something that you've embraced, and what have you made just in general of this goalkeeper union that you have that consists of Nico Hansen, Adam Bodge, or even Zach Campagnolo at the academy level? What have you made of this goalkeeper union that you've kind of been at the head of?
Yeah, it's been real fun, man. All really good dudes, and then obviously a lot of talent within the pool as well. So trainings are fun. We push each other, we test each other, challenge one another, and it's a really good camaraderie amongst the group. And of course, I, as the oldest goalkeeper, and me being the number 1, of course, I see it as a leader in that group. But at the same time, I kind of see it as I'm like their uncle or something, like the fun uncle. Joke around and give it to them sometimes, but then obviously support them and give them some tips, and we go back and forth in trainings and video flips all the time. So yeah, it's been really good, man, and that's exactly how you get better.
Yeah, man, and it's a lot of fun to watch as well. The moments that I am out at training and just kind of watching the team training in general, but you guys with Chris Sharp specifically, it is fun to watch you guys kind of go through the process and see what you guys do, and kind of iron sharpening iron in a sense. Let's have it pertain to you specifically, Zach, and talking about the U.S. men's national team. They're going to be here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park within a couple months' time now. That opportunity, hopefully, is that one that I would imagine that you want to take advantage of and be able to play here for the U.S. men's national team in front of Colorado Rapids fans who would want to come to that match. I'm surely that's on top of head right now, outside of obviously the Rapids entering this playoff stretch, or hoping to make it the playoffs. Surely that opportunity with the U.S. men's national team is something that you're thinking about now.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny that we play against Australia too. My wife is from Australia, so she's excited, and we'll try to get some friends out for that. But yeah, of course, man. I mean, playing in front of the Rapids fans, hopefully all the stars will align, and I'll be out there playing on the field, and that'll be an amazing night.
We hope so too, Zach. I think that would be awesome. You certainly deserve it. I like that you coined yourself the uncle because I was given El Viejo. I didn't have I wasn't given a choice. Mike's really the only one that continues to call me that. But let's right? No, whoops. Or maybe behind my back. Let's talk about exchanging jerseys. We saw you exchange with Brad Guzan on Saturday night. Obviously, two fantastic goalkeepers for not just their Major League Soccer sides, but with the U.S. men's national team as well. Who is your favorite goalkeeper you've ever exchanged jerseys with? And if you have exchanged with field players, do you have a favorite exchange for that as well?
Goalkeepers. Tim Howard is actually, it's funny, we switched when I was playing in Columbus and he was playing with the Rapids, and I think we beat him. We beat him 2-0 or something. We beat him, and he was pissed off at the game. He didn't even say hi to me. He just walked straight into the locker room, and then our equipment guys exchanged the jerseys. But that was a funny memory. But amazing, to switch with Brad Guzan, what a legend of the game as well. And then Hugo Lloris I'd have to put up there as well when we played France years and years ago before the 2018 World Cup maybe, and tied 1-1 in France. That was a pretty special night. Field players though, I do swap with field players if I know them and played with them or whatever. And right now I don't have any that are hitting.
Nothing that jumps to mind.
Yeah, I'll have to go in the closet and get back to
all right. Well, that's all right. Well, I've got one more for you then. When you're in goal and we're about to kick off, we've got 3 jerseys that we wear right now, right? The burgundy, right, and the Headwaters, and then the new OG green one. Which one do you like us in the best?
Oh, that's a good question, dude. I mean,
I know you get orange and pink and purple and green and stuff, but
I mean, dude, the OG green is clean, man. Yeah. I like that with like the whatever that goldish numbers. And then the Headwaters, I was really surprised, dude. I was really surprised. I mean, that's a really cool
nice
jersey as well. But I'm gonna have to go OG.
Classic. Yeah, I agree. I think they're sick. Do you get field player jerseys ever, like at the end of the year?
I could. Hayden's a good dude, so he'll hook us up. Yeah.
All right, good.
That's good. Good, man. Yeah, I think we're in agreement there in terms of the OG kit because it looked very good on you guys. Well, on the other field players, but I'd imagine you could rock it, Zach, as well if you're wearing it kind of like out hanging out and about or whatever. But nonetheless,
that's a cool thing. Sorry to cut you off. That's a cool thing. You could wear it out with the collar and everything, and the button. You could wear it out on the street, and it's sweet. So they did a good job.
Yeah, man. So if anybody sees Zack Steffen out on the street wearing his OG kit, give him some love because he would definitely look at it and he doesn't get the opportunity to do so on the pitch, unfortunately. So show the man some love if you do see him on the street wearing his OG kit. But Zach, listen, man, we appreciate you taking the time here this morning to be able to join us for Off the Pitch, and hopefully that the Rapids find themselves in a playoff position because you guys are looking good right now. But wishing you all the best, Zach, and thanks again for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, bro, no problem. Good to see you guys.
All right, Drew, let's look ahead to the upcoming match for the Colorado Rapids, where they're going to head to LA. They're going to head to Dignity Health Sports Park to play the LA Galaxy. Second time that they'll be playing them this season after earning a 2-0 win back here in June in Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So that match is going to take place Saturday, August 23rd, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Like I mentioned, it is at Dignity Health Sports Park. You can obviously catch that match on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. So the last 3 matches for the Galaxy, Drew, they actually qualified for the next the next stage of Leagues Cup as a quarterfinalist. They will host Pachuca on Wednesday night. However, their form as of late hasn't been the best. They're 0-2-1 in their last 3 matches. Their most recent one being a 3-1 loss at Miami this past Saturday. Let's look at how the teams compare, Drew, between the Rapids and the Galaxy. So the Galaxy, their record is 3-16-7. Colorado, 10-11-6 points. The Galaxy have 16 points, Drew. Colorado have 36. Goals, Galaxy have scored 29. Colorado have scored 36. Goals against, Galaxy have conceded 55 goals on the season, Drew. 41 conceded by Colorado. And then average possession, the Galaxy are on 53.8% versus 43.4% for the Rapids. And as I'd mentioned before, that the Rapids, they got a 2-0 win against the Galaxy on June 25th back here in Dick's Sporting Goods Park. That game got delayed after 7 minutes, which I always resent the delays. I'm never a fan of those. Your goal scorers on the night for the Rapids were Georgi Mihailovic and Calvin Harris. The Rapids, they held 36% possession on the night, so that was their lowest on the season. Mm-hmm. But they won. I think it's a matter of what you do with the ball, not how long you have it. We've seen that time and time again around world football. And so I would say potentially expect the same thing when the Rapids do go to Dignity Health Sports Park this Saturday, Drew. Mm-hmm. So this is a Galaxy side, as we mentioned before, and as is there for everyone to see that if they've been struggling. There's no two ways about it in terms of how they got only 3 wins on the season, Drew. This is the team that won 2024 MLS Cup, but when you lose someone like Ricky Puig, you expect a drop-off, but I don't think anyone expected this sort of a drop-off. I don't think anybody, be it internally or externally, in relation to the LA Galaxy. It's just a struggling side. I think that the Rapids would have to take advantage of at this point, Drew, no?
Yeah, I would sure think so. When you started to read the record out there on the screen, it was like seeing 3
It's
wins.
A bit unbelievable.
It is, yeah, and I think it is. It's an interesting case study for when you lose your best player and, maybe you're in a little bit of cap trouble, I know, and you don't replace, some of the players because, you also lost Joveljic and Mark Delgado and Brugman, and now Ricky Puig has been injured all year. Like, you can see what can happen in this league going from winning MLS Cup to, really, really struggling. And so, that being said, it doesn't really matter. Like there's players for the Galaxy that can certainly hurt you, and my opponent player to watch is actually going to be 2. I'm going to cheat a little bit here.
Okay.
It's going to be Joseph Paintsel and Gabriel Peck, because I feel like these are still individual players that if you give them what they want, which is open space, running at you, isolated moments, 1v1, entering into the penalty area, they can still hurt you. And so I think for me, you have to lock those 2 down. I know, you still have Marco Royce and you still have, Nascimento and Fagundes there. And we don't know who they're going to start because they'll have Pachuca in Leagues Cup midweek. But, Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel for me are still 2 players that you have to lock down because regardless of the form, they're players that can still hurt you.
Yeah. For me, Drew, it's always, I kind of don't care where anybody sits on the table, whether you're the supporters, your leader, or if you've conceded the most goals in the league at this point. And as it pertains to the Galaxy, like specifically with those 2 players as well, like they've shown that they have the quality. They were on a tear last year for the Galaxy and showed their quality in terms of their off the ball movements, obviously what they can do on the ball when they're scoring goals for the Galaxy. So for me, I really kind of don't care about the standings. It's just like, what's the sort of threat that they present in the Galaxy, and those are the 2 clearest threats that they have at the moment. So the Rapids do need to be on their toes when they are coming up against the Galaxy, even if they are last in the West and have conceded a bunch of goals on the season. It's still a challenge nonetheless, sure. and to kind of underestimate that would, I think, put the Rapids, they would be putting themselves in a difficult position, quite frankly. In terms of flipping it, Drew, so I have my Rapids player to watch where I'm going to cheat as well. On the theme of kids being back in school, please don't cheat. It's not worth it. So for my Rapids player to watch here, Drew, I'm not picking 1. I'm not picking 2.
Oh, 3.
No.
Oh.
We're going to go the whole team, Drew.
Oh, I love it.
So why do I say the whole team as my Rapids player to watch, or just the Rapids, right? Why am I picking the whole team here to watch? Going off these last 2 performances that the Rapids have had against Minnesota United at their stadium, and then back here at home against Atlanta United, the collective effort from everybody from front to back to front has been remarkable. They've shown how stubborn they can be and the problem that presents for opposing teams and forcing them to find solutions against a stubborn Rapids side. And when they can't find the solutions and when there's a loose ball there and the Rapids take advantage of it, how quickly they go the other way in transition, as we clearly saw particularly in these last 2 matches, but we have seen in various moments throughout the year. If the Rapids can kind of be as stubborn as they have been these last 2 matches, if they can work for each other, kind of do what they have to do, fight for each other, and then take advantage of their opportunities going the other way, very difficult to go up against this Rapids side where we were just talking about playoffs, Drew. The Rapids don't have a playoff spot solidified, but because of how these matches are playing out and how close we are to trying to figure out who's in playoffs and who isn't, where you seed in playoffs and where you don't, these matches, every single one of these matches in the home stretch has a playoff feel to it, and I think this suits the Rapids quite frankly with how they're playing, how they're going about their business, and finding results like they have against Minnesota United and Atlanta United. Mm-hmm. If the Rapids carry on this way, I'm not putting it past them to make the playoffs, and once they do, if they do, they're going to be a real problem against a lot of teams in there. But for now, as it pertains to the Galaxy, be stubborn defensively, fight for each other, do what you have to do to win second balls, clog up any passing lanes. And the moment you get your opportunity to go the other way, take advantage, and especially against the Galaxy side right now that's asking so many questions of themselves as they have been all year. And you can make it 3 points. 9 points. That's 3 wins in a row, and there's so much value in not just getting points on the road, but having stretches like that where you can get one win after another, mm-hmm. especially, again, as we're entering the home stretch, and the Rapids are trying to figure out where they might seed in the playoffs for 2025. So it's going to be incumbent on the entire team to put in a performance to get all 3 points from the Galaxy.
I like that, and I do feel like there is a little bit of a new sense of identity with this side. And I know it's only been 2 games, right? Since Leagues Cup, a little bit of a formation change, a little bit of a personnel change, and all of a sudden the Rapids seem super dangerous. And my key for this match is going to be, can you maintain that efficiency that you've shown in attacking transition, right? And the league is starting to probably figure it out now. Look at the Rapids are defending maybe a little bit deeper, organized, disciplined, and man, every time they go forward, they look dangerous. They look like they're going to score with Calvin Harris and Darren Yappi and Huff Navajo and Ted Kudi-Pietro and a number of others, and it's been so fun to watch. Can you maintain that efficiency, that, even directness at times, just route one, go long, Darren Yappi, Huff Navajo, go win first and second balls and stretch opponents out, make them run back towards their own goal. That's what we did to Atlanta United. They, to me, are a similar team to LA Galaxy that, you can pass, but you don't defend extremely well, and you start to get stretched out. That's when teams start to hurt you. And the Rapids are hurting teams right now when they have open space. And so can you maintain that efficiency, this kind of newfound identity, which I've loved watching the last couple of weeks? Again, I know it's only been 2, but if you put 3 of them in a row together at this time of year, now you're talking about something that is working and you can be successful with. And I'm looking for that on Saturday night, Mike.
Yeah. Hopefully, again, it's a prime opportunity for the Rapids to try to take advantage of a Galaxy side that all year they've been asking questions of themselves, particularly when you don't have the centerpiece mm-hmm. and the cog, the guy who runs the show in Ricky Puig, right? So hopefully the Rapids can do so. And I guess maybe for my key to the match, at least, following up a little bit on what I've been talking about in terms of just putting a performance together, I think that's going to be the key outside of any tactics or anything, kind mm-hmm. of any nuances of the game, is just put together a full 90-minute performance. So maybe that next step could be is maybe earn a clean sheet, right? So you look at a couple moments where the Rapids let a moment slip a little bit, and that's where an Alexei Moranchuk is able to sneak a goal in. That's where Minnesota was able to get one back, even though you do walk away with the 3 points, right? But just maybe if the Rapids can it's very difficult. Like it's much easier said than done, honestly, yes. Right? But be fully tuned in for 90 minutes to ensure that you just make life even more difficult than you have already for your past couple opponents and for your opponents in general. When you've shown that defensive stoutness and just stubbornness, really, against opposing teams, right? So I think that's just the next extra little step. But like I said, it is much easier said than done because of how demanding the game can be over the course of 90 minutes, and especially when you're going up against quality sides, mm-hmm. As we've seen, throughout the year. And like as we mentioned, Galaxy, they're very low on the table, but they have pieces there that can present all sorts of danger, all sorts of problems that you have to keep tabs on for a full 90 minutes.
For sure.
So that it's going to be incumbent on the Rapids. I say it's to just put in a full 90-minute performance, and you can walk away with 3 points and hopefully a clean sheet on top of that to show that we're very stubborn to the point that we're not even going to let you guys score.
Yeah.
So it's I think they can do it. There's been tiny little steps I think that the Rapids have shown to show that they can do that and just be dangerous and annoying, quite frankly, for other teams mm-hmm. To come up against.
Yeah. This is a team that you should beat.
Yeah.
And you should feel confident that you can go beat them doing what you do and being who you are. And if you do that, you give yourself a wonderful opportunity to get 3 more points and to continue to build momentum for the playoffs. make your way up the table, and that would be huge. We just saw something on the screen there too.
We did, yeah. Sorry, we there was a little note that we forgot to mention on our part is with Rafa Navajo. So obviously with the 2-goal performance that he had on the night against Atlanta United, here in Player of the Match Day. So
deserved,
very well deserved recognition for Rafa for what he did on the night. But that's just a microcosm of what he's been doing throughout the year, really since Rafa's walked through these doors here at the Colorado Rapids, right? So that is a wonderful recognition for that is done on a weekly basis by the league. But again, it is just a tiny part to show of what Rafa has been doing at the Rapids ever since he's walked through these doors here. So congrats, Rafa, on that recognition because it's very well deserved.
Let's see it again on Saturday night.
I was going to say, yeah. Let's see it from Rafa. Let's see it from Yapi. Let's see it like as we've been saying from everybody, right? We've these past couple performances that the Rapids have put together at Minnesota United against Atlanta United gives a lot of encouragement for us to see go to the Galaxy, earn 3 points on the road, and again take advantage of a side, as we've said, is struggling, asking questions of themselves, doubting themselves to some extent. And like as we've said, in terms of contrasting styles, the Galaxy like to have the ball. Rapids don't mind if they don't, and they take advantage of those opportunities when they go the other way. And in Galaxy, they've leaked a few goals throughout the season, so hopefully the Rapids are gonna add on to that number, to that tally for the Galaxy. Anything else, Drew, before we head out? Because I think that'll do it.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this last stretch of games. It starts obviously in LA on Saturday night, but the vibe, the feel, just the atmosphere right now is very positive, and you want it to feel like this time of year. You don't want it to be the other way, right? Which it has at times in the past, but this is how you want to be playing. This is how you want to be feeling. Now it's our responsibility to go out and continue to do it. And we're going to be tested and we're going to have to manage it, but the vibe is good right now, and you Rapids fans have been amazing. You should be excited as well. Let's ride this wave while we're riding it.
Let's do so. And it's the start of a 2-game road stretch for the Rapids. We'll obviously touch base on the SKC game, which is next Saturday out at Children's Mercy Park. But until then, that'll do it for us. No, I think that's it for this show, for this edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast.
Have another good week.
Let's have ourselves a good week. So with that, my thanks to Rich on the production side of things, and of course my good friend and Rapids legend, Drew Moore. I've been your host, Mike Ravolo, and we will catch you guys on the next episode.